Hi everyone, welcome back to Art Club. This week we're going to look at the artist Frank Bolin. Frank Bolin has experimented over the years in many different ways. In his paintings, he uses acrylic paint with bright shades on canvases. He uses ammonia, which is obviously not suitable for children, so we will not be using that today. He uses found objects in his work, acrylic gel and water spray. He uses a spatula, a palette knife and brushes, string, chalk, and he grates glitter onto his paintings. He also uses lots of different sorts of buckets and containers, and I'll tell you more about how he uses those soon. So when he uses the chemical ammonia, he uses it because it breaks down the paint. It makes it thinner in some areas and disperses it. We're not going to use this today, but we're going to try and create a similar effect. The acrylic gel that he uses thickens up the paint and can add some texture to his paintings. He usually starts out his painting by creating a base layer. He then starts to apply different colours. He might do this by pouring paint into a bucket and then literally pouring it onto the canvas. After he's done that, he will hold up the canvas and move it around so that the paint drips and flows into each other. Geometry is a very important part of Frank Bolin's work, and by geometry I mean shapes. You often see circles and semicircles and rectangles in his work. How we sometimes add the shapes onto his work: he will place a circular object underneath his canvas, and then he will trace the outline of that object in chalk. This will help him improvise with his paintings and potentially add some more shapes and features to his painting. He draws these perfect semicircles by attaching string to a piece of chalk and then curving the chalk round, and it creates a perfect semicircle. The string makes sure it's always the same distance from the centre. He spends months developing his paintings, adding different layers to his paintings, adding different materials, and seeing how it progresses. He sees each application of paint as a new chance to explore. He applies paint in many different ways: by squeezing a tube of paint directly on the canvas, by pouring paint in a bucket and dripping it onto the canvas, by putting paint into a spray and spraying it onto the canvas, by spraying water onto the canvas. Paintings are often a bit like diaries, as he finds objects to record important moments in his life. He actually glues them onto his canvas. If you're going to do this, you might glue it onto your canvas, maybe using PVA glue, and then put PVA glue on top of the object and maybe blend it in a bit more by adding some paint to it. He also adds glitter onto his work sometimes, so if you have some glitter at home, you might want to flick it onto your painting in certain areas. You might decide that you want to mix some paint into glitter. You might want to experiment with moving your paper around whilst you're creating to see if the paint drips. If you've got a spray at home that you can put water into, you might spray that onto your work, so it has the same effect as the ammonia and thins out your paint. Now, in my painting, I haven't used exactly the same materials as Frank Bolin. I'm using salt to add texture to my work. I'm using bicarbonate of soda and vinegar. I will use water and PVA glue. I haven't actually added any found objects to my work, but you might have a think about what you could add. It might be something small that you can tear up and glue onto your work. Now, Frank Bolin's advice when creating work is to go for it, and mine is going to be the same. Experiment, enjoy, and be free.